Lisa Brown, a passionate and dedicated teacher, stands outside the impressive brick building of Brookside High School, taking a deep breath as she prepares for her first day. Having moved from a larger city to the quiet town of Riverton, she knows that her new role will bring unique challenges, but she's determined to make a positive impact. Her husband, Marcus, has just accepted a position as Riverton's police captain, a career move they couldn't pass up, and they both see this new chapter as a fresh start. Lisa's excitement, however, quickly dims when Principal John Wheeler approaches. Tall, with a sharp look in his eye, Wheeler greets her with a brief, cold handshake, barely making eye contact. Though Lisa tries to stay positive and polite, it's clear from his tone and body language that Wheeler holds a certain disdain for her, evident in the way he looks her over with an expression that's more critical than welcoming. As they begin walking through the hallways, Wheeler drops subtle but pointed comments about the town's values and standards, implying that Lisa's teaching style might not align with Riverton's traditional ways. He refers to the city she came from in a dismissive way, as if it's an inferior place. Lisa immediately senses the prejudices Wheeler harbors, but she keeps her face calm, refusing to let his attitude shake her confidence. Wheeler continues, expressing that the board was insistent on filling this position quickly, hinting that they might not have chosen her if they had more time. Lisa, unfazed, introduces herself again with a warm smile, determined not to let his condescending tone disrupt her enthusiasm for teaching. By the end of their conversation, Lisa realizes that Wheeler's biases won't be easy to overcome. Despite his lack of respect for her background, she decides to stay focused on her work, more determined than ever to prove her worth at Brookside High. With her heart set on making a positive impact, Lisa Brown steps into her new classroom at Brookside High, a sunlit, welcoming space that she's eager to transform. She begins unpacking her supplies, placing colorful posters, books, and educational resources in a way that radiates her inclusive approach to teaching. For Lisa, teaching is about more than just the curriculum. It's about creating a space where every student feels seen, valued, and encouraged to explore their potential. The room starts to reflect her vibrant teaching philosophy, with walls adorned with images celebrating diversity and messages of perseverance. As she prepares, her thoughts linger on the earlier conversation with Principal Wheeler, whose mention of the school's traditional values had been unmistakably pointed. His thinly veiled remarks about her urban teaching style not suiting the students left her with a clear impression. He saw her as an outsider, someone who didn't belong in his idea of Riverton's conservative, tight-knit community. Just as Lisa starts arranging desks into groups to encourage collaboration, Wheeler appears in the doorway. He watches her set up with an expression that barely conceals his disapproval. "I see you've personalized the space," he remarks, his tone deliberately neutral, though his gaze lingers judgmentally on the posters and materials Lisa has so carefully chosen. "Yes, I find that students respond well to a classroom that feels welcoming and inclusive," Lisa replies, maintaining her warm tone and keeping her focus on her task. She senses his disapproval, but remains undeterred. Her years of teaching have taught her the importance of resilience and staying true to her values, no matter the opposition. Wheeler steps further into the room, his eyes narrowing as he studies her setup. "Brookside High has always prided itself on high standards, Mrs. Brown," he says, stressing her last name as if to remind her of her position. "Our students thrive under structure and order. Too much change can be unsettling for them." Lisa meets his gaze, keeping her voice calm and steady. "I'm here to bring out the best in every student, Mr. Wheeler. When students feel represented and understood, they're better equipped to engage and excel." Wheeler's face hardens, but he says nothing more. Instead, he gives her one final look before turning on his heel and leaving the room. The message, however, is clear. Her approach isn't welcome here. As he walks away, Lisa feels a chill settle in the room, but she straightens her shoulders, standing firm. She isn't going to let a closed mind derail her purpose. After Wheeler's departure, she finishes arranging her classroom with a renewed sense of resolve. Though she knew that moving to Riverton might come with challenges, Wheeler's barely concealed hostility makes it clear just how much of an outsider she appears to be in his eyes. Yet Lisa recalls her husband Marcus's words from the night before. "You're here to make a difference, Lisa. Don't let anyone take that from you." Marcus's strength and love bolster her, and she knows that for him and for herself, she has to stand her ground. As Lisa places the last poster on the wall, she thinks about the students who will soon walk through her door. How many of them, she wonders, have faced struggles similar to her own? How many will need to see someone like her stand tall, show courage, and remain true to herself despite the pressures to conform? For them, she knows she must continue, even if it means standing alone. Her classroom now fully set up, Lisa takes a step back to admire her work. It's a space full of warmth, encouragement, and hope, a stark contrast to the tense, traditional atmosphere that Wheeler seems to enforce. She knows the road ahead won't be easy, but she also knows she didn't come to Riverton to be silent. Her passion and commitment to her students will guide her through whatever comes next. As the weeks progress, Lisa Brown finds herself facing an uphill battle at Riverside High. What initially felt like subtle disapproval from Principal Wheeler evolves into a more blatant campaign of harassment. Each staff meeting becomes a minefield for Lisa, with Wheeler cutting her off mid-sentence, dismissing her ideas as impractical and irrelevant to the traditional values he holds dear. During one particularly tense meeting, as the staff discusses the upcoming school events, Lisa proposes an inclusive activity designed to celebrate the diversity of the student body. Just as she begins to explain her vision, Wheeler interjects, "Let's stick to what works. Our students need stability, not experimentation." The words hang in the air, heavy with condescension. She feels the weight of her colleagues' gazes, some sympathetic, others curious but cautious, unsure of which side to take. Despite Wheeler's undermining tactics, Lisa remains steadfast. She believes in her methods and knows that her students deserve more than a rigid curriculum. In the days that follow, Wheeler escalates his harassment. He sends her emails filled with passive-aggressive remarks about her lesson plans, claiming they don't align with the school's mission. His criticisms are frequent and pointed, each email carefully crafted to undermine her confidence and authority. Despite the challenges, Lisa channels her frustrations into her teaching. Each day, she arrives at school with renewed determination, focusing on her students' engagement and learning. In her classes, she encourages open discussions, allowing students to share their thoughts and experiences. She strives to create an environment where they feel safe and respected, even as Wheeler's presence looms over her. At home, however, the stress begins to build. Lisa can see the toll that her work situation is taking on her. Marcus, busy with his new role as police captain, has his own challenges to navigate. Lisa decides against confiding in him about Wheeler's hostility. She doesn't want to burden him with additional stress during this pivotal time in his career. Instead, she keeps her frustrations bottled up, often finding solace in long walks and quiet evenings spent reflecting on her values and purpose. As the autumn leaves begin to fall, Lisa receives yet another harsh email from Wheeler, this time questioning her ability to manage her classroom effectively. "Perhaps you should reconsider your approach if you want to stay at Riverside High," it reads, dripping with veiled threats. The words sting, and she feels the urge to break down, but she remembers her commitment to her students and to herself. One afternoon, after a particularly draining encounter with Wheeler, Lisa steps outside for some fresh air. The crisp autumn breeze fills her lungs, and she gazes at the vibrant foliage around her. In this moment, she reflects on the journey that brought her to Riverton. Leaving her previous school had been a difficult decision, but she believed it was the right one for her family and her career. Now, she finds herself questioning whether she can continue in an environment that feels increasingly hostile. Back in the classroom, Lisa confides in her students, sharing her belief in standing up for what is right. "Sometimes people may not understand you or your methods, but that doesn't mean you should change who you are," she tells them, encouraging them to embrace their individuality. The students, in turn, open up, sharing their own stories of feeling misunderstood or judged. These moments of connection fuel Lisa's resolve, reminding her of the purpose behind her teaching. Yet each night as she prepares for the next day, Wheeler's words echo in her mind, gnawing at her confidence. Despite her determination, Lisa knows she's on shaky ground. Each interaction with Wheeler feels like a step into unknown territory, one where the stakes are high and her ability to affect change hangs in the balance. As she lies awake at night, contemplating her next steps, Lisa realizes that she must find a way to confront Wheeler's behavior. She can't let his prejudice define her role at Riverside High or compromise her integrity as an educator. But she also knows that the confrontation will require careful consideration. Lisa is determined to seek support, perhaps from other staff members who might have faced similar experiences, and to develop a strategy that can help her navigate this increasingly challenging landscape. In the face of adversity, Lisa's spirit remains unbroken. Her resolve to advocate for her students and her belief in the importance of inclusive education drive her forward, no matter how intense Wheeler's harassment becomes. She will not back down. She will stand firm against prejudice, not only for herself, but for every student who deserves a voice in their education. Determined to take a stand against Principal Wheeler's unprofessional behavior, Lisa Brown begins to meticulously document each instance of harassment and discrimination. She sets up a dedicated notebook where she logs dates, times, and specific incidents that highlight Wheeler's bias against her teaching methods and her background. Each entry becomes a testament to the emotional toll of her experiences, but also a critical step toward reclaiming her power in this unjust situation. In conversations with her colleagues, Lisa discovers she is not alone in her struggles. Over coffee in the faculty lounge, she learns of others who have faced similar challenges under Wheeler's leadership. "I thought I was the only one," one teacher confides, her voice tinged with both relief and frustration. "He's a master at playing favorites and punishing anyone who doesn't fit his mold." These revelations resonate deeply with Lisa, reinforcing her determination to confront Wheeler, not just for herself, but for her colleagues who have felt the sting of his bias. Lisa listens intently as they recount their own battles. Some have already left the school, disillusioned by Wheeler's tactics, while others have learned to tread carefully, fearing repercussions if they speak out. As she absorbs their stories, Lisa feels a mix of anger and solidarity. She knows that the school environment should be one of collaboration and respect, not fear and intimidation. Feeling empowered by these conversations, Lisa makes a decision. She will not be silenced. Instead of retreating into the shadows, she begins to gather evidence of Wheeler's behavior. She captures screenshots of dismissive emails, records snippets of their interactions during meetings, and reaches out to her fellow teachers to collect testimonies of their experiences as well. Lisa carefully organizes her findings, understanding that a clear, concise presentation will be crucial when the time comes to confront Wheeler. With each entry in her notebook, she feels a sense of control returning. The act of documenting isn't just about holding Wheeler accountable, it's also a form of self-care, allowing her to process the emotional strain of her situation. Writing helps her reflect on the positive impact she's making in her classroom, reminding her why she took this job in the first place. Her students flourish under her guidance, and their enthusiasm fuels her passion for teaching. As autumn deepens, Lisa decides to confront Wheeler directly. She begins to prepare for the difficult conversation by rehearsing her points in front of the mirror. She practices articulating her thoughts calmly and assertively, focusing on the facts rather than letting her emotions take over. The last thing she wants is for Wheeler to dismiss her concerns as mere complaints. She must present a compelling case, one that showcases not just his behavior toward her, but also the broader implications for the school community. The days leading up to her planned confrontation are filled with anxiety. Lisa remains vigilant, continuing to document every encounter with Wheeler. Each snide remark or dismissive gesture only adds to her resolve. The tension is palpable, and she can feel the weight of her decision pressing down on her. In the evenings, she leans on Marcus for support, sharing her feelings about the situation, though she still refrains from divulging the full extent of Wheeler's behavior. She discusses her experiences in a general sense, noting the challenges of adjusting to a new environment. Marcus, ever the attentive listener, offers his encouragement, reminding her of her strengths and the difference she is making in her students' lives. As the date of her confrontation approaches, Lisa reflects on the courage it takes to stand up against authority. She thinks of the colleagues who were forced out and the students who might suffer from a school culture that stifles diversity and creativity. With each passing day, her conviction strengthens. She knows that remaining silent is not an option, and that her fight is about more than just her own experience. It's about advocating for a more inclusive and supportive environment for all. Finally, the day arrives for her meeting with Wheeler. As she prepares to step into his office, her heart races with a mixture of fear and anticipation. She clutches her notes tightly, reminding herself of the importance of what she is about to do. This confrontation is not just a personal battle, it's a stand against prejudice, and for every teacher and student who has felt marginalized or dismissed. Lisa takes a deep breath, steadies herself, and walks into the office, ready to confront not just Wheeler, but the systemic biases that threaten the very essence of education. In this moment, she feels a profound sense of purpose, knowing she is taking a critical step toward creating the change she wishes to see in the school, and perhaps even beyond. As the weeks pass, the atmosphere at Riverside High School becomes increasingly charged. Principal Wheeler's harassment escalates from verbal jabs and dismissive comments to more aggressive behavior. He begins invading Lisa's personal space during discussions, leaning uncomfortably close as he critiques her lesson plans, his breath brushing against her cheek. Each encounter leaves her feeling vulnerable and exposed, and she struggles to maintain her composure amidst the growing hostility. During staff meetings, Wheeler's remarks take a more inappropriate turn. He makes snide comments that belittle Lisa's teaching style, often accompanied by condescending laughter from some of the more compliant faculty members. The sense of camaraderie she once felt among her colleagues starts to erode as fear and complicity weave through the staff room like a dark cloud. Lisa's resolve begins to falter as she faces this unrelenting barrage of disrespect. One day, as Lisa stays late to prepare for an upcoming parent-teacher conference, Wheeler appears at her classroom door unannounced. He steps inside without waiting for an invitation, the door clicking shut behind him with a finality that sends a shiver down her spine. "You really need to learn how to fit in here, Lisa," he says, his tone dripping with condescension. "I'm just trying to help you understand what this community values." With each word, Lisa feels the boundaries of professionalism crumbling. When Wheeler steps closer, invading her personal space, she instinctively takes a step back. "I appreciate your feedback, but I believe I'm doing what's best for my students," she replies, her voice steadier than she feels. But Wheeler doesn't relent. He leans in, his expression unyielding. "You know, if you want to be successful here, you might need to reconsider your approach. It's about more than just teaching. It's about aligning with our values." The implication is clear: conform or risk being marginalized. Then, in a moment that feels surreal and deeply violating, Wheeler reaches out and places a hand on Lisa's shoulder. The touch is brief but loaded with unwanted authority. A surge of indignation ignites within her. This is not just a professional disagreement. It has crossed an unmistakable line into harassment. Lisa's heart races as she feels a powerful mix of fear and anger. The culmination of his behavior becomes too much to bear, and she finds herself propelled by a newfound courage. With a deep breath, she pulls away from his grasp, her voice firm and resolute. "Do not touch me again, Mr. Wheeler. This is inappropriate, and I will not tolerate it." The air in the room thickens with tension as Wheeler's expression shifts from surprise to a simmering anger. "You'll regret speaking to me like that," he warns, but Lisa stands her ground, fueled by her determination to reclaim her dignity. The moment marks a turning point in their power struggle, a point where Lisa refuses to be a passive participant in her own narrative. Her response reverberates in her mind as she leaves the classroom that day. In that instant, she realizes that her fight is not just about her position at Riverside High. It's about standing up against a culture of fear and intimidation. No longer will she accept the status quo or allow Wheeler to dictate her worth as an educator. As Lisa walks to her car, the weight of the confrontation settles heavily on her shoulders. The implications of her actions dawn on her. While she feels empowered, she is acutely aware of the risks involved in challenging an authority figure like Wheeler. She worries about the fallout, how he might retaliate, and what it means for her job security and her students. However, Lisa's resolve only strengthens. She recalls the stories her colleagues shared about the detrimental impact of Wheeler's behavior on their own careers. In that moment, she knows she cannot remain silent any longer. It's time to gather her evidence and present her case, not just for herself, but for everyone at Brookside who has faced Wheeler's intimidation. With a renewed sense of purpose, Lisa starts planning for her next steps. She re-examines her notes, piecing together a timeline of Wheeler's harassment and the impact it has had on her teaching and the school environment. Each instance becomes a part of the larger story she is ready to tell, a story that cannot be dismissed any longer. Later that evening, she sits down with Marcus to share the details of her day. She holds nothing back this time, recounting Wheeler's behavior and the inappropriate touch that pushed her to finally confront him. Marcus listens intently, his expression a mix of concern and anger. "You did the right thing by standing up for yourself," he reassures her. "But we need to take this further. You can't let him intimidate you into silence." As Lisa listens to Marcus's words, a sense of determination washes over her. She knows that standing up to Wheeler is only the beginning. She must also advocate for systemic change within the school. With her husband's support, she begins to formulate a plan to approach the school board, gathering her documentation and preparing to confront the culture that has allowed Wheeler's behavior to thrive unchallenged. In the days that follow, Lisa feels an exhilarating mix of anxiety and hope. She is stepping into uncharted territory, but she knows that her fight is about more than just her own experience. It is about creating a safe and respectful environment for all educators and students at Brookside High School. Armed with her evidence and a strong resolve, Lisa prepares to confront not just Wheeler, but the systemic issues that have long persisted in silence. The battle ahead will be challenging, but Lisa is ready to take a stand. The tension surrounding Lisa's situation has reached a boiling point, and it isn't long before Marcus learns of the escalating harassment at Brookside High School. After a long day at work, he decides to drop by the school to surprise Lisa and see how her first few weeks have been going. As he walks through the halls, a sense of unease washes over him. The atmosphere feels charged, and whispers echo around him. When he enters the teacher's lounge, he overhears a couple of colleagues discussing Lisa's recent confrontations with Principal Wheeler. Their hushed tones reveal the seriousness of the situation, and Marcus's heart sinks as he realizes that his wife is facing not just professional challenges, but potential danger. His instincts kick in, and he decides to find her immediately. As he makes his way toward Lisa's classroom, he hears raised voices echoing through the hallway. His pulse quickens as he approaches the door, where he sees Lisa standing firm, her posture a mixture of strength and vulnerability. Principal Wheeler, his face flushed with anger, looms over her, his tone harsh and demeaning. "You'll regret this, Lisa," he barks, his voice dripping with disdain. "You think you can just come in here and change everything?" Seeing the confrontation unfold, Marcus's protective instincts surge. He pushes the classroom door open, stepping in just as Wheeler makes another aggressive remark. "What's going on here?" Marcus demands, his voice steady yet commanding. Both Lisa and Wheeler turn to him, surprise etched on their faces. Lisa seizes the moment to explain the situation. "Marcus, he's been harassing me since I got here. It's gotten worse, and he crossed a line today," she states, her voice laced with determination. Marcus can see the emotional toll this has taken on her, and his heart aches for the fight she's been enduring alone. Wheeler, caught off guard by Marcus's arrival, tries to regain control. "This is a personal matter, and I'm handling it," he insists, a thin veneer of authority attempting to mask his discomfort. But Marcus isn't having it. "It's not just a personal matter. You're abusing your power, and I won't let that stand." Realizing that he's losing ground, Wheeler attempts to dismiss Marcus's involvement, but the evidence of his behavior is already too glaring to ignore. Marcus, aware of the impact of the harassment on Lisa's mental health and professional life, makes a decision that will reverberate through the entire school community. "I'm calling this in," he says. pulling out his phone. You're going to answer for your actions. With the school's atmosphere charged with tension, Marcus dials his colleagues at the police station, his voice steady as he relays the situation. I need backup at Riverside High. We have an officer here involved in harassment and possible assault against a staff member. The urgency in his voice is palpable, and he hangs up, determined to see this through. As he waits for his fellow officers to arrive, Marcus stands protectively beside Lisa. He reassures her, "You're not alone anymore. We'll make sure he's held accountable." Lisa feels a rush of gratitude and relief at Marcus's unwavering support. For the first time, she feels like she has an ally who understands the gravity of the situation. Within moments, the sound of sirens fills the air, and 2 police cars pull up outside the school. Marcus's colleagues enter, a mix of professionalism and concern evident on their faces as they assess the situation. Marcus explains the events that have transpired, and the officers take Wheeler aside for questioning. Despite the humiliation and anger swirling around him, Wheeler tries to assert his authority one last time, insisting that Lisa is overreacting and that he's merely maintaining standards. However, the mounting evidence against him, coupled with Marcus's testimony, cannot be ignored. After a thorough discussion, Wheeler's facade crumbles as the officers inform him that he is being placed under arrest for harassment and assault. The realization of his impending downfall hits him hard, his face pale with disbelief. "You can't do this. I'm the principal," he protests. But the officers remain resolute. As they cuff Wheeler and lead him away, Lisa feels a wave of relief wash over her. The weight of his oppressive presence is lifted, and a sense of empowerment blooms within her. It's a pivotal moment, not just for her, but for every educator who has endured similar treatment in silence. Once the chaos settles, Lisa turns to Marcus, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you for standing up for me," she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without you." Marcus pulls her into a tight embrace, understanding the significance of this moment in their lives. Together, they have turned the tide against Wheeler's toxic reign. With the support of her husband and newfound resolve, Lisa knows that this isn't just the end of her struggle. It's the beginning of a fight for a better environment at Riverside High School. The incident has revealed deep-seated issues within the school's culture, and she feels driven to advocate for her colleagues and students moving forward. As they leave the school together, Lisa's heart is lighter, filled with hope for what's to come. She understands that her journey isn't over, but she now stands on solid ground, armed with the truth and supported by those who care about her. The fight for change has only just begun. In the weeks following Principal Wheeler's arrest, a significant shift begins to take place at Riverside High School and throughout the small town of Riverton. The news of the harassment case spreads quickly, igniting discussions that had long simmered beneath the surface. Many individuals, students, parents, and fellow teachers who had once felt isolated or afraid to speak out are now finding their voices. Lisa, emboldened by the support of her husband and the swift actions taken against Wheeler, starts to encourage her colleagues to come forward with their own experiences. During staff meetings and informal gatherings, she creates a safe space for open dialogue, allowing others to share their stories of mistreatment, discrimination, and the toxic environment perpetuated by Wheeler's leadership. The more they talk, the clearer it becomes that his behavior was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger pattern of abusive power that had plagued the school for years. As these stories circulate, the community begins to rally around Lisa and her colleagues. Parents of students at Riverside High start to voice their concerns at school board meetings, demanding accountability and a culture of respect within the school. The outpouring of support is overwhelming. Activists, parents, and even former students join forces, organizing rallies to demand change and an independent investigation into the school's administration. Amid this growing movement, several members of the school board, who had turned a blind eye to Wheeler's behavior, find themselves under intense scrutiny. Public pressure mounts, and they begin to resign one by one, acknowledging their failure to protect the students and staff. This wave of resignation sends shockwaves through the school system, highlighting the community's commitment to fostering a safer and more inclusive environment. Lisa is both humbled and inspired by the support she receives from the community. She participates in rallies, sharing her story not only to shed light on her own experience, but also to inspire others to take action. Each time she speaks, she sees more faces of solidarity in the crowd. Parents with their children, fellow educators, and residents of Riverton who believe in the need for change. The movement quickly gains traction, becoming a rallying cry for those who have felt silence for too long. As the community begins to unite, Lisa finds herself preparing for the legal battle ahead. With the help of her colleagues and a supportive legal team, she begins to gather evidence to file a lawsuit against the school district for failing to protect her and others from Wheeler's harassment. This process is both daunting and empowering. Lisa understands that this battle is not just for her, but for every person who has ever felt powerless against institutional abuse. Meanwhile, Marcus continues to support Lisa as she navigates this challenging journey. He stands by her side during legal consultations, offering encouragement when doubt creeps in. They discuss the impact of the case on their lives, weighing the pros and cons of going public with their experiences. Marcus reassures her, "This is bigger than us, Lisa. We can't let fear hold us back. You have to do this. For you. For all those who have suffered." As they work through the complexities of the legal process, Lisa realizes that the emotional toll of the past months is still lingering. The fear of retaliation, the weight of her responsibilities, and the memories of Wheeler's harassment occasionally haunt her. However, she channels these feelings into her advocacy, allowing them to fuel her determination. The legal proceedings are set to begin, and Lisa finds herself preparing for a battle that will not only impact her future, but also the culture within Brookside High School. As the case gains media attention, it becomes a symbol of the fight against workplace harassment and the necessity of accountability within educational institutions. The support from the community strengthens Lisa's resolve. More victims emerge, emboldened by the collective movement and the legal framework being established. They gather testimonies and document their experiences, recognizing that they are part of something larger, a transformative movement aimed at dismantling a culture of silence and complicity. As the legal battle approaches, the community stands united behind Lisa and her cause. The atmosphere at Brookside High School begins to shift. Students express hope for a new era of leadership and respect, and faculty members are inspired to advocate for their rights and the rights of their students. The movement grows beyond just one school. It sends ripples through the educational system in Riverton, inspiring other institutions to confront their own histories of harassment and discrimination. Lisa's heart swells with pride as she watches her colleagues and community come together for a common purpose. It's a turning point not only for her own life, but for the future of Brookside High School. Through resilience and collective strength, they are forging a path toward change that will resonate for generations to come. The fight is far from over, but Lisa knows they are on the right side of history, and that gives her the courage to keep pushing forward. In the wake of Principal Wheeler's arrest and the subsequent legal battles, Riverside High School embarks on a transformative journey. The atmosphere, once steeped in fear and silence, begins to shift dramatically as the administration realizes the urgent need for change. The school board, under mounting pressure from the community and backed by the voices of the very teachers and students they serve, initiates a series of significant policy reforms aimed at fostering a safe and inclusive environment. The first step is the implementation of comprehensive anti-harassment measures. These new policies are designed to provide clear definitions of unacceptable behaviors, establish reporting procedures, and outline the consequences for those who violate the rules. Workshops and training sessions are organized for both staff and students, focusing on the importance of respect, diversity, and inclusivity within the school community. Lisa plays an instrumental role in shaping these initiatives, drawing from her own experiences to advocate for robust protections against discrimination and harassment. In addition to the anti-harassment policies, Riverside High revises its dress code to eliminate arbitrary restrictions that disproportionately affect marginalized groups. This change is a celebration of individuality and expression, reflecting the diverse backgrounds of the student body. Students feel empowered to embrace their identities, contributing to a culture that honors uniqueness rather than suppressing it. To further enhance the school's culture, Lisa and her colleagues take the initiative to organize cultural appreciation events throughout the school year. These events serve as platforms for students and faculty to share their heritage, traditions, and experiences. They invite guest speakers from various backgrounds, host workshops on cultural practices, and create opportunities for students to collaborate on projects that celebrate diversity. The once divided halls of Riverside High are now filled with laughter, music, and a renewed sense of belonging as students eagerly participate in activities that highlight their rich tapestries of culture. In a bid to support minority teachers and foster a sense of community among educators, Lisa establishes a mentorship program designed to provide guidance and resources for those who may feel isolated in their roles. This initiative not only helps to retain talented teachers, but also enriches the school environment by ensuring that diverse perspectives are represented in the classroom. Through this program, experienced educators mentor newcomers, sharing insights, strategies, and the importance of advocating for their rights and the rights of their students. As the transformation unfolds, the impact of these changes becomes evident in the daily lives of both students and teachers. Classroom dynamics improve as respect and understanding take center stage. Students, feeling seen and valued, become more engaged in their learning, eager to participate in discussions that reflect their diverse backgrounds and experiences. Teachers report feeling more supported and appreciated, leading to higher morale and collaboration among staff. Moreover, the community's involvement grows stronger. Parents, inspired by the positive changes at Riverside High, become active participants in school activities and decision-making processes. They advocate for transparency and accountability, ensuring that the school remains committed to its mission of creating a safe and inclusive environment for all. The community rallies around the school, demonstrating their support through volunteer work, attendance at events, and participation in discussions about the future direction of Riverside High. Amidst all these positive changes, Lisa finds a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges she faced have not only strengthened her resolve, but also deepened her connection to her students and colleagues. She continues to advocate for those who may still feel vulnerable, drawing from her experiences to inspire others to stand up for their rights. The healing process is not without its hurdles. There are still moments of discomfort as the community grapples with the remnants of its past. However, with each step forward, they move closer to a more just and equitable environment. In the months that follow, the ripple effects of the changes at Riverside High extend beyond its walls. Other schools in Riverton begin to take notice, inspired by the courageous actions of Lisa and her colleagues. They start to adopt similar policies, recognizing the importance of fostering safe educational environments for all students and staff. The movement gains momentum, transforming Riverton into a model community for inclusion and respect. As the school year progresses, Lisa reflects on the journey that has brought her to this moment. She understands that the fight for change is ongoing and that the work they have done is just the beginning. With each cultural event, mentorship session, and policy implemented, they are not only healing the wounds of the past, but also laying the groundwork for a brighter future. The legacy of their struggle will serve as a beacon of hope, encouraging others to stand up against injustice and fostering a culture of respect and support in educational institutions far beyond Riverside High School. In the heart of Riverton, a new chapter begins, one where every voice matters and every individual is valued. Together, they forge ahead, determined to create a lasting impact that will resonate for generations to come. Lisa knows that the journey to healing is a collective one, and she is proud to be part of a community that embraces change with open arms, ready to build a more equitable and inclusive tomorrow. As Lisa Brown stands at the forefront of Riverside High's transformation, her journey evolves into a powerful symbol of resilience and unity in the face of injustice. The changes implemented at the school ripple throughout the community, sparking a renewed sense of hope and collective purpose among students, staff, and residents of Riverton. With the new policies firmly in place and the atmosphere at Riverside High vastly improved, students feel empowered to share their own stories and advocate for change. They create forums where voices that were once silenced can be heard, discussing issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Lisa encourages these dialogues, recognizing that student-led initiatives are essential for sustaining the progress they've made. The students, inspired by her courage and the support of their peers, begin organizing events like Diversity Day, where they celebrate their cultural backgrounds through performances, art displays, and discussions that educate their classmates about different traditions and perspectives. As the school year progresses, the sense of community grows stronger. Parents become more engaged, attending meetings and collaborating with teachers to ensure that the values of respect and inclusion are upheld not just in the school, but throughout Riverton. Lisa spearheads a series of workshops for parents, focusing on how to discuss issues of bias and discrimination at home, fostering an environment where children feel safe expressing their thoughts and emotions. The town becomes a model of community engagement, where everyone plays a role in promoting understanding and respect. Moreover, the story of Lisa's courage and the subsequent changes at Riverside High catches the attention of local media outlets. Articles and interviews highlight the school's journey from a place of tension and prejudice to a beacon of hope and inclusivity. These narratives inspire neighboring schools to examine their own policies and practices, prompting discussions about reform across the district. The movement grows beyond Riverton, encouraging educators in other communities to confront injustices and advocate for change within their own institutions. Lisa finds herself invited to speak at various educational conferences and community gatherings, where she shares her experiences and the lessons learned throughout her journey. She emphasizes the importance of solidarity, encouraging others to unite in the fight against discrimination and harassment. Her message resonates widely, empowering individuals to speak out and challenge the status quo in their own communities. The impact of her story inspires a new generation of educators and students to commit to creating safer, more equitable learning environments. As the school's culture shifts toward one of collaboration and support, the sense of belonging becomes palpable. Teachers, previously apprehensive about speaking out, now engage in open conversations about their experiences and concerns. The mentorship program that Lisa established flourishes, pairing seasoned educators with those who are just beginning their careers, creating a supportive network that uplifts minority voices. The school staff is increasingly diverse, reflecting the rich tapestry of the community they serve, which further enriches the educational experience for all students. As the school year comes to a close, Lisa reflects on the profound changes that have occurred, not just at Riverside High, but in herself and the community around her. She realizes that the journey to justice and equality is ongoing, but they have laid a strong foundation for the future. Lisa remains committed to continuing the work that began with her fight against Wheeler's harassment, knowing that the power of community can drive lasting change. Looking ahead, Riverside High sets its sights on expanding its outreach programs, fostering connections with local organizations that focus on social justice, mental health, and youth empowerment. The school becomes a hub for community engagement, where students can participate in service projects, collaborate with local leaders, and develop initiatives that address pressing social issues. The future is bright for Riverside High, where the spirit of activism and solidarity flourishes. The lessons learned from Lisa's experience remind everyone that change is possible when individuals come together to stand against injustice. The courage to speak up, to support one another, and to fight for what is right becomes a guiding principle for the community. Lisa's story transcends her individual struggle, embodying the strength found in unity and the unwavering belief that together they can build a more inclusive and equitable future for all. In the years to come, Riverside High will not only be known for its academic achievements, but also for its commitment to fostering a culture of respect, understanding, and empowerment. Lisa Brown's legacy will inspire future generations of students and educators to embrace diversity, challenge discrimination, and work together toward a brighter, more just world. As they continue to learn and grow, the community remains united in its mission to honor the values of inclusion and support, ensuring that the lessons of the past pave the way for a future filled with promise and hope. As we reach the end of Lisa Brown's inspiring journey, it's clear that the fight for justice and equality can ignite powerful change within a community. From facing prejudice and harassment to transforming Riverside High into a beacon of hope, Lisa's story demonstrates the incredible strength that comes from standing together against injustice. If Lisa's journey resonated with you, we invite you to join the conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What lessons did you take away from her experience? How can we all contribute to creating more inclusive environments in our own communities? Your voice matters, and together we can continue to promote understanding and support for one another. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more inspiring stories like Lisa's, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support helps us shine a light on the important issues that matter. Thank you for watching, and let's continue to stand together in the pursuit of justice and inclusivity for all.